Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Today I have an opportunity to work on another one of Scott's reels. And this one is a Wilcox Daiwa 722. Now I'm thinking Wilcox is probably a trade name and that it was made for some kind of a hardware store or something like that. Just don't know. I'd have to do a little bit more research on this. This is a typical Daiwa reel from the 1970s. This one's in beautiful condition. Scott sent it to me, found it at a flea market, and asked me to go over it, make sure it's all working and the like, and we'll go do that for him. Now this reel doesn't seem to have anything sophisticated in the bail system itself, but I am interested to find out where that internal trip ramp is, because normally a bail like this without a spring container would normally hit on the outside, so I'm thinking there's something going on the inside. We'll find out in due course. We're going to start by taking off the exterior pieces. As we do, I'm going to ask you to subscribe to my channel. And if you do subscribe to my channel, please hit that notification button. That'll let you know when I'm posting videos. And I post all kinds of videos. You'll find some you like and some you don't. And the ones that you like, you can go ahead and watch. All right, the spool is a very simple, straightforward spool. And here's what I was talking about with the trip ramp. So this one does have an internal trip ramp. You can see that the arm from that bail is going to run underneath here. It'll turn down like that. And then when it hits a trip ramp over here, there'll be a trip ramp. I can see it internally. Then that's going to throw it back. So there's nothing to do maintenance-wise here. There's no springs or anything. All you want to do is make sure that the circuits, where it travels, those two pivot points on the spring, work nice and free and easy. And the best way to do that, just use some penetrating oil to free it up. All right, let's go underneath here. We'll take this apart. We'll see what's going on here. And then just do the requisite. You do a cleaning, you do a parts inspection, and then you re-lube the reel and put it back together again, reassemble. And then typically your reel will be done. Well, here's why it's bogging down. It's just all old dried grease accumulated. Well, how does it accumulate that way? Well, chances are it was laying to rest like this, kind of straight down. Gravity did its work. It pulled all of the grease out from all of the places, and it deposited it on the bottom. So easy enough. We'll just go ahead and clean that up. I'm going to grab a paper towel where I can put the remnants of the greases in that I pull out of there. That way it won't clog my bench and have an effect on the next reel that I go into servicing. So this one has a relatively simple design to it. You saw the bail, and that's kind of interesting. That's not the way most bails are set up, but it does have a different approach to it. We have a ton of grease here, and then we have a pin. You can see we're finally coming around to where some of that grease is played off. This pin is holding the crosswind block in place. I mean, usually you can just remove that with your hand, and that's the pin. And when I take the pieces and parts off, I put them into a parts tray. I use the bottom of a fast food container, at least I'm using that at the moment. And, well, sometimes it's the bottom of a milk jug or some other piece. Today it happens to be the remnants of a fast food tray. And then we can pull that axle shaft out by grabbing it and pulling it up through the pinion gear. This is going to just enable us to do the basic cleanings. At this point I'm going to remove the handle. You do that by turning it against the direction where you would crank. And we can take our crosswind block off. Notice the orientation on this. The orientation is pin side down. Very easy on a block like this to put it pin side up, simply by reversing that. And if you put it pin side up, well, you're going to have a problem on the throw of that spool when you go to crank it. So I've got a lot of reels that have come in over time, misassembled. I can't understand it was working before they took it off. And a lot of the times that the reel comes into me misassembled, well, it's because that crosswind block was put in upside down. Some of them are symmetrical. Doesn't matter which way you put it. This one is not. All right, we've cleaned that off. That's going to go into my parts box. Next up then, we're going to remove that rotor nut. This is a 12 millimeter. I have a 12 millimeter tool, but unfortunately I don't have the strength to turn that 12 millimeter tool, so let's try it this way. And you need to check this. Sometimes this is threaded reverse. In this case it's not. It's coming off in a traditional counterclockwise manner. So once I break that with the tool, then I'm just using my fingers to detach the nut, and we'll be able to remove the rotor. There's a little washer here next, and then this should push through now. There's a little washer that was getting stuck. You can see it right here. But once you get that washer right, pull it through, just like that. Note the washer that goes on the top. That would be this one. And there is no bushing here. No bearing, I'm sorry. There is a bushing. That's going to come out here. This is a good place to tell you to take pictures along the way, because if you get confused by this, then you'll have your pictures as a reference as you come across. All right, I like to move the anti-reverse dog to the off position, and then I should be able to get this main gear out, and now we can do the case cleanup. For the case cleanup, I'm going to continue as I did before. We're just going to mop up this old grease that just accumulated. I'm going to use a variety of tools. I use a cotton swab, drugstore variety. I use paper towels. I don't like to use anything more aggressive than that unless I have to. Sometimes you're going to find that, well, you just have something that's stubborn, maybe some corrosion or something. Then you can switch over to that more aggressive scrubby pad or the like. Right now we don't need that. And interesting going on in the background, if you're hearing it, there's a spring thunderstorm at the moment. All right, that case is nice and clean. Just going to grab another paper towel here, and we'll just get the rest of that out. So much about the servicing of a reel has to do with making sure it's clean. Get rid of that old debris that may have settled in there. Sometimes if you're using it in an ocean environment, that debris is going to be dried salt and or other deposits. So you just want to take care of that. Taking care of the anti-reverse dog is nothing more than just putting oil on that, and then mopping up this main gear now. It's about time to change that towel out there. Let's just get the rest of the old grease off the main gear. And then there's some on the face, and we'll use the cotton swab for that. I just saw somewhere, it was kind of interesting. You can actually do chemical tests now on oils and dried greases, and they can tell you exactly what's in there. So if you, I guess if you're running concern, you don't know what's in there, they can tell you. For example, they might tell you that they're finding salt, and they're finding iron shavings, and they're finding, well, whatever they can find chemically in there, simply by doing kind of the old DNA kind of testing, I guess, right? All right, we put some grease onto the back. I'm using a Penn precision reel grease for this. I don't care what fishing reel grease you use, but I do care that you use a fishing reel grease. Once that's greased up, then we can take that and reinsert that back in. I like to put that stud all the way down low when I'm doing that. We know we have a couple of things going on here now. Now, I didn't put these into the parts tray because I knew I was coming right back to them. I'm just going to use a hard brush to clean out the slots on that pinion gear. We know that the bushing goes above, like that. It's in that slot, very nicely engineered. We know that we have the washer below. I'm just going to make sure that's the right washer. I'm going to put it on here before I go to insert. And then what we need to do basically is turn this reel upside down, get the stud out of the way, and then come in here to reinsert that. Insert that pinion gear. Okay, put a little bit of grease on there now. And what we can do next is we can take that rotor cup. There's a wide washer that goes, that's going to fit around the neck of that bushing. And there's a smaller washer that's going to hold that in place. Then there's the rotor. This reel goes down as one of those reels that's simple and effective. You have a lot of reels that are complicated and effective. You have a lot of reels that are simple and ineffective. This one is simple and effective. And I like that little bail trip. That's the first time I've seen an internal trip on what I would typically call a bang bail. All right, grab the nut, tighten the rotor, give it a spin. It's running nicely. I'm going to bring the stud for the drive down low. We've cleaned out the cavity on that crosswind block, so we're going to put some grease into that. Remember what we said, that hole for the stud is down. I'm just noticing there's a lot of dry grease in the post hole there, so let's get that out. Mount that to the downside. Go ahead and make sure that this is clean. This one is not clean yet, so let's use some steel wool to clean that off. And we'll grab our brush, put a light coating of grease on there. You don't want to put a lot on because it's only going to scrape off when you put it through the pinion gear. We'll merge that in now. Looking for this hole. This is the hole that you need to match up to here. This hole will accept the pin that you pulled out earlier. Just like that. There you go. Well, we're going to put the handle on. The handle should tell us that we've done everything correctly then. Get that dirty cloth out of the way. Okay, now you'll see how that reel works. Boy, that's a nice smooth one. Remember we turned the anti-reverse dog off so that we could get that out easily? Well, that's a pleasure. Simple but effective. Okay, we're going to grab the side plate next. Just have to find it. Side plate has just a little bit of grease inside of it, so before I throw that paper towel away, I want to clear that grease out of there. There's a stud on the side plate that's going to fit in the hole on top. Side plate comes down and the screw goes on, and then we'll take a look at the drag system in this reel. I suspect that the drag system is not going to be very robust. This is, I guess by classification, it's a 20 size reel, which means it's a freshwater reel, but I wouldn't be surprised if you can drag up some nice ocean fish with that. Let's just give that thing, see if that, okay. Just wanted to check to make sure that loosening that up may have helped. There's a pentagon 5-sided spring inside this spool, and I'm guessing that we're going to see Teflon washers in here, plastic washers. We may see felt. And what we have is one big chunk of felt. That's okay. The felt washers are fine. You just need to keep them oiled. If you don't oil them, they will dry out. And if they dry out, well, they're going to tear. If they tear, well, you can take the rest of it. It's not going to work. All right. Just working to get the clip back into the slots, which we did. Spool goes on. This has got a D-clip in it. Just like that. Drag adjuster knob goes on. Scott, you got another beautiful reel here. This is an interesting one. I like it. Should last a long time. Pretty unique on the internal bill. There we go. This is the Daiwa, or the Wilcox Daiwa 729. If anybody knows anything more about what the Wilcox company was, my guess it's a hardware store or a general sporting goods store. But if you know any more, I would appreciate knowing that, just so I could catalog that. And I'm always learning about this stuff, so I would appreciate knowing more. So to everybody who's a first responder, essential personnel, thank you for all it is that you do. To all, please stay safe, stay well, and stay watching. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Have a great day.